Some moments are supposed to be once in a lifetime. For a football fan, it's seeing your team in the Super Bowl. For me, that dream was stolen. My own boss, a partner at my firm, took my tickets, a personal gift from a major client, and gave them away to line his own pockets. He thought I was just some junior employee who would never find out or wouldn't have the guts to do anything about it. But what he didn't know was that the client who gave me those tickets wasn't just a client. He was about to become my partner in crafting the most humiliating, career-destroying revenge imaginable. If you believe that karma doesn't just knock, it kicks down the door, then prove it by hitting that subscribe button. Like this video, because you are about to witness a takedown so perfectly planned, it belongs in a Hollywood movie. This isn't just a story about stolen tickets. It's about a snake who got charmed, cornered, and completely defamed right in front of the people he was trying to impress. Let's get into it. To understand the sheer gravity of this betrayal, you have to understand my relationship with the San Francisco 49ers. I'm not a casual, check the scores on Sunday kind of fan. I'm the kind of fan whose mood for an entire week is dictated by the final score. I'm the guy whose dad took him to his first game at Candlestick Park, the kind who's in the stadium parking lot at 7 a.m. for a 1 p.m. game, rain or shine, setting up the grill, talking strategy with strangers, who feel like family. My blood runs red and gold. So a few years back, when the Niners fought their way back to Super Bowl love, it wasn't just a game, it was a pilgrimage. It was the culmination of years of hope. At the time, I was working at a mid-sized consulting firm. It was a typical high-pressure environment, long hours, big egos, and a clear, rigid hierarchy. You had the partners at the top, and then everyone else. I was an everyone else, but I was good at my job. I was the day-to-day lead for a handful of accounts, and I built strong relationships. One of those relationships was with a client I'll call Mark. Mark was a senior executive at a major tech company, and I was his go-to guy. We just clicked. Our meetings would always end with us grabbing drinks or dinner, talking about everything but work, life, family, and most importantly, football. He knew about my borderline obsessive 49ers fandom. He'd laugh when I'd come into a Monday meeting, still hoarse from screaming at the TV. He was a genuinely good guy, the kind of client you actually look forward to talking to. And he was also incredibly generous. He had access to his company's corporate seats for all sorts of events, including the Super Bowl. A couple of weeks before the big game, Mark tells me he's got a surprise for me. As a thank you for all the hard work I'd put in on his account, he'd secured 2 corporate seats. Not just any seats. We're talking 30-yard line, lower bowl, section 114, with access to the club lounge, the kind of seats you only see on TV. He wanted to give them to me, personally. But to make it an even bigger gesture, he decided to pass the tickets to the senior partner on his account, a man we will call, for reasons that will become painfully obvious, Dickhead Partner, or DP for short. DP was the classic corporate shark. He wore suits that cost more than my rent, had a permatan that looked like it was applied with an industrial sprayer, and had a way of looking at you that made you feel like you were an insect. He was considering squashing. He was all fake smiles and backpats in front of clients. But behind the scenes, he was a calculating, political operator. Mark's idea was that DP would present the tickets to me as a surprise gift from the firm, a grand gesture to reward my hard work. Mark was just trying to do a nice thing for me and, by extension, for our firm. The week of the Super Bowl came and went. I watched the game from my couch with a bowl of chili. Surrounded by friends, the Niners lost to the Chiefs. It was gut-wrenching, the kind of loss that leaves a pit in your stomach for days. I was miserable, but I was also completely oblivious. I had no idea that I should have been miserable in a ridiculously expensive stadium seat, surrounded by 100,000 other screaming fans. About a week later, I had another meeting at Mark's office. Afterwards, as was our custom, we went to a nearby bar for a drink. We're chatting, decompressing, when he casually swirls the ice in his glass and looks at me. "Hey, by the way," he starts, "tough loss, man. But how was the experience? I heard someone else ended up in your seats." I just stared at him, completely blank. The bar was noisy, so I thought I misheard him. "Sorry," "What was that?" I asked. "What game?" He chuckled, thinking I was joking. "The Super Bowl. I saw you weren't sitting next to my colleague Stephanie. Did you give the tickets away?" The music in the bar seemed to fade into a dull hum. A cold wave washed over me. It felt like my brain was a computer, frantically trying to process a command that made no sense. "Mark, I didn't have seats to the Super Bowl," I said, my voice barely a whisper. The friendly, relaxed look on his face vanished. It was replaced by shock, then confusion, then a flicker of anger. "What are you talking about? I gave DP a pair of my company tickets for you. As a gift, he was supposed to give them to you." And there it was. The puzzle piece I didn't even know was missing just slammed into place. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a misunderstanding. Dickhead partner, the senior partner on the account, had taken my Super Bowl tickets, my once-in-a-lifetime gift. That cold feeling in my stomach turned hot. It was a white-hot, furious burn that started in my gut and spread through my entire body. I could feel my hands clenching into fists under the table. He didn't just steal tickets, he stole an experience. He stole a gesture of friendship from a client. He stole it and, for what? To give it to someone else? To curry favor with another client, using a gift that wasn't his to give? Mark saw the look on my face. He leaned in, his voice low and serious. "Listen to me. Don't say a word to anyone at your office. Go back, quietly ask around. Find out what happened to those tickets, and then call me. We'll figure this out." The flight back home was agonizing. I was sitting in a cramped economy seat, my mind racing. Every smarmy smile DP had ever given me, every condescending comment, it all replayed in my head, now cast in a sinister new light. This wasn't just office politics. This was theft. Back in the office, I did as Mark instructed. I didn't go storming into DP's office. I was smarter than that. I went to the one person who knows everything that really happens in a company. One of the senior secretaries. I bought her a coffee, made some small talk, and then casually asked if she'd heard anything about Super Bowl tickets floating around the office. Her eyes widened just a little. "Oh yeah," she said, lowering her voice. "That was a big deal. DP gave a pair of amazing seats to the guys over at Bridgewater Agricultural Solutions. He was bragging about it, called it a major relationship-building gift from our firm. Bridgewater Agricultural Solutions. They were in a totally different industry. It would be like Coca-Cola giving a gift to John Deere. It made absolutely no sense. It was just a bald-faced lie, a way for him to look like a big shot to another one of his clients, using stolen goods. That was it. The final confirmation. The fury I felt was immense, but it was also clarifying. Under normal circumstances, I might have let something like this go. Rocking the boat with a senior partner is a great way to kill your career. But this was the fucking Super Bowl. This was personal. I considered confronting him, marching into his glass-walled office and calling him out. But then I realized something. The person who cared the most, the person with all the power here, wasn't me. It was Mark. He was the one whose gift was stolen and repurposed. He was the one who had noticed I wasn't there. If I let him handle it, there would be zero blowback on me. I would be the innocent victim. So I pulled out my phone. My heart was pounding as I typed out a carefully worded text to Mark. I wrote, "Hey Mark, just wanted to circle back and thank you so much again for thinking of me with those seats. It was an incredibly generous thought. It appears they were given as a gift to another one of our firm's clients." I hit send. The reply came back in less than 10 seconds. It was 2 messages, both in all caps. The first, "Are you shitting me?" The second, "Pretend I never told you. Let me handle this." A slow, wicked grin spread across my face. The hunter was about to become the hunted. A few days later, Mark called me. He told me he was formulating a plan. An official-looking meeting request appeared in my inbox shortly after. The subject was a generic quarterly business review. It was a meeting at Mark's corporate headquarters, and the invitation explicitly requested that dickhead partner be present. This wasn't entirely unusual, so DP didn't suspect a thing. A week later, DP and I were on a flight, heading straight into the lion's den. DP was in full-on schmooze mode, talking about his golf game, acting like he was my benevolent mentor. I just nodded and smiled, playing the part of the dutiful subordinate. But inside, I was practically vibrating with anticipation. He had no idea he was flying to his own execution. We arrived at Mark's office building, a sleek, intimidating glass tower. We were led to a large, polished conference room on the 45th floor, with a panoramic view of the city. All the usual executives from Mark's team were there, sitting around the long mahogany table, and sitting right next to Mark was a woman I'd never seen before, probably in her late 30s, with a sharp, intelligent look in her eyes. Mark stood up, a big, friendly smile on his face. "Hey guys, thanks for coming in. DP, so glad you could make it. Before we start, I want to introduce you to Stephanie. She's a VP from another department. Just wanted to sit in on this one." Then, he turned to me, the smile never leaving his face. "And OP, you guys must already know each other from the Super Bowl." This was it. The curtain was rising. The trap was sprung. The air in the room went still. Stephanie, the supposed VP, stood up and extended her hand to me, a picture of polite confusion. "Oh, I don't think we've met," she said, her voice clear and strong. "Were we introduced there? I'm so sorry if I've forgotten." Mark feigned surprise, slapping the table playfully. "Geez, Steph, how much did you have to drink? They were sitting right next to you." He then looked expectantly at me. I could feel DP's eyes burning a hole in the side of my head. This was my moment. I looked at Mark, matching his feigned confusion. "Sorry, Mark. I wasn't there. I think you must be thinking of someone else." That's when I saw it. The first crack in DP's polished facade. His confident posture stiffened. His eyes darted between me, Mark, and Stephanie. A tiny bead of sweat formed on his temple. He was processing, his brain catching fire, trying to find an escape route. He opened his mouth, a desperate escaping his lips. But before he could formulate a lie, Stephanie cut him off, her tone shifting from polite to pointedly inquisitive. "No," she said, looking right at DP. It was Bill Henderson from Bridgewater Agricultural Solutions in those seats. Which reminds me, I was wondering why we gave company seats to those guys. Is there a new project we're working on with them that I don't know about? Checkmate. She had named the exact company and person the secretary had told me about. DP's face, which had been pale with panic, started turning a blotchy, bright red. He looked like a cornered animal. He managed again, his voice cracking. Mark didn't let him recover. He spoke over him, his own voice losing all its friendliness, replaced by a cold, hard edge. "DP, I gave you those tickets for OP. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. An accusation." DP was now in a full-blown panic. He turned to me, his eyes wide with a desperate, silent plea. He was begging me to save him, to cover for him. He tried one last, pathetic gambit. "Oh, well, he wasn't able to make it," he stammered, gesturing at me. "So he must have given the seats away to someone else." He looked at me, expecting me to back up his lie. Mark just smirked at me, giving me a tiny, almost imperceptible nod. I looked DP dead in the eye, my expression a perfect mask of bewilderment. What are you talking about?" "Mark, you gave me tickets to the Super Bowl? The final nail." Mark's voice suddenly boomed across the silent room, sharp and angry. "Dickhead partner, those tickets were a personal thank you gift from A to OP. Did you give them away to someone else?" He paused, letting the question hang in the air like a guillotine. "Was it another client?" DP just sputtered. "Oh. Maybe something got mixed up in the office." It was the weakest excuse I had ever heard. Mark went completely quiet. He just stared at DP, his face a mask of cold disappointment. The silence stretched for what felt like an eternity. The only sound was the frantic, silent whirring of the gears in DP's head as he realized there was no way out. Then, with a calm, deliberate motion, Mark looked down, grabbed his leather portfolio and his iPad from the table, and slid them into his briefcase. He snapped the latches shut. The clicks echoed in the dead silent room like gunshots. He stood up. "I think this meeting is over," he said, his voice flat. He looked at me. "OP, it seems I owe you a proper thank you gift. Let's go to lunch. Stephanie, you're welcome to join." He turned his gaze back to the crumbling statue of a man that was DP. "Dickhead partner, I need to seriously evaluate our firm's relationship with your company. Please go back home. Expect to hear from us next week." In a last-ditch effort, DP whimpered, "Perhaps I could join you for lunch," desperate to do some damage control. Stephanie, no longer playing the part of a polite VP, stepped forward and said with ice in her voice, "I don't think that's a good idea." She then motioned to the receptionist at the door. "Can you please see our guest out?" DP was escorted out of the room like a common trespasser. The moment the elevator doors dinged shut, the three of us, me, Mark, and Stephanie, erupted in hysterical laughter, the kind of deep gut-busting laughter that comes from pure, unadulterated victory. Stephanie, it turned out, wasn't a VP at all. She was just a trusted employee and a fellow Niners fan who Mark had drafted into his little piece of corporate theater. And she was an absolute blast. She came to lunch with us, and we celebrated. On the way to the restaurant, my phone buzzed. It was a desperate text from DP. "You need to call me. We need to cover for the firm. This is bigger than us." I showed the text to Mark. He laughed and told me to play along. I texted back, "Yes, we need to talk. I'll see what I can do." Mark told me to wait a couple of hours and then call my firm with his official demands. He took me to the most expensive steakhouse in the city and made a huge show of over-ordering everything. Later that day, following Mark's instructions, I called the managing partner at my firm. The fallout was swift and brutal. Mark's demands were delivered, not as requests, but as conditions for even considering continuing their business with us. 1. The firm was to expect an invoice for the full resale value of the Super Bowl tickets, which was over $12,000, as well as an invoice for our outrageously expensive $850 lunch. He expected them to be paid immediately. 2. He expected a direct personal apology from Dickhead Partner to me. 3. He demanded a formal, written apology to his company for what he termed theft and misrepresentation of a personal gift. And 4. The kill shot. He would continue to work with our firm, but he would only interact with me or one of the other senior partners. He was never, under any circumstances, to see or speak with Dickhead Partner again. The whole thing sent a shockwave through the firm's leadership. And the best part, because I had played the part of the dutiful employee who was trying to save the client, I came out looking like a hero. I was the victim who had, in their eyes, put the firm first. The other partners were furious with DP. Not just for the ethical breach, but for jeopardizing a massive account. They immediately transferred the client to another partner, meaning DP lost his substantial profit share from all their future business. And oh, the cherry on top. The partners made Dickhead Partner pay the $12,000 ticket invoice and the pricey lunch bill out of his own salary. In retrospect, I still have no idea what he was thinking. Did he really think Mark just wouldn't notice? That he wouldn't say thank you for the tickets to me? It was a level of arrogance and stupidity that is still staggering to me. The well was pretty poisoned for me. Their long-term, though, DP wasn't fired, but he was a pariah, and having an enemy like that in senior leadership is never a good thing. A few months later, I left for a much better position at another company. A year after that, Mark finally terminated his company's relationship with the firm for good. He actually works with a good friend of mine now, at a competing firm, and we still laugh about it. I'm still pissed I missed the Super Bowl, even though we lost. But watching a man's arrogance lead him to a public professional and financial immolation that he built with his own two hands, that's a close second. Go Niners. In the end, it was never just about a football game. It was about respect and integrity. Dickhead Partner thought his title gave him the power to take what he wanted. What he forgot is that real power isn't about your position on an org chart. It's about the trust you build and the character you show when you think no one is watching. And that is what you call Super Bowl-sized revenge. What's the most clever, satisfying way you've ever seen a bully get exactly what they deserve? I want to hear about it in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story of perfect poetic justice. Until next time.